Hello everybody, welcome back to One Leeds. It's Connor here. We're back with another video, we're back with another preview, and we're back with another anxiety-ridden chat about Leeds United after the events that occurred last night between Burnley and Everton. But we're going to be speaking about everything regarding the relegation picture going forward between all the teams down there. We're going to be discussing the tactical imprint that we feel Jesse Marsch is going to put on this game against Watford. We're going to be talking about Watford's strengths and Watford's weaknesses as well, and what I think the ultimate outcome of this game will be. So stick around to the end. It's going to be a detailed preview. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, guys, what I would like to say is that we have a sponsor. Yes, everybody, we have a sponsor on the channel. It's interactive, it's community based. Two things that I've wanted to build on the One Leeds Fan Channel. It's a forum for you guys, and I'm really, really excited about this one. There's banter, there's football knowledge, and it's all going to be encompassed in this one app called BetMate. BetMate have asked me, they want to be part of the One Leeds Fan Channel. The reason behind that is because they've already seen the relationship that me and you guys have. And I want to get Cage involved. I want to get Brownie involved. But first of all, let me explain what it's all about. Basically, guys, what BetMate are is a daily fantasy football app. The season, it's just too long for me sometimes. And doing it on the weekend when I can is absolutely perfect. So this is where I can test my football knowledge against my mates. You guys are my mates, let's be honest. So this is absolutely perfect. BetMate offer a public game. They offer public games every single day for you guys to get involved and test your knowledge. You can get involved in those games, or you can create your own game with your own stakes against your mates, which is what we'll be doing. £100. How does that sound? It's just a great incentive, isn't it? And that's why this has excited me so much, because you guys get £100. The winner will get £100, and all you have to do is enter the One Leeds BetMate collab. That's it. But literally just download the app, put the code in One Leeds, and you will automatically be entered in my league, where you can win this pot of money. And all you need to do is pick your fantasy football team for this weekend's game, Watford versus Leeds United. The annoying thing I find about fantasy football is it's primarily all based on assists and goals. Well, this isn't, everybody. Tackles and various other things are taken into consideration, which is absolutely perfect in building your points to get that £100. So make sure you enter One Leeds after you've hit the link in the description, and we're ready to rock and roll. Guys, on the review, we will be discussing the winner, and we will be giving them a special shout out, and we'll just be looking at the league. We'll be looking at the league, seeing where I am, seeing where you are, and just having a little bit of a chat about it. And as I said, I'm going to try get KG and Brownie involved. So make sure you hit the link in the description, One Leeds in the pot code, enter join, and we're done. You're in the league. You're in with the chance of winning £100 this weekend. So, guys, we're back on to the preview. So, what am I expecting from this game? It's, as I've just said, I wanted to really discuss the relegation picture. I think the relegation picture is seismic now, isn't it? Burnley obviously picking up the win last night against Everton. It was a result that I didn't want, I'll be brutally honest with you. I would have rather an Everton draw or an Everton win. An Everton win just completely ostracises Burnley and keeps them down there. I know a lot of people were turning around and saying, well, if Burnley win, it keeps Everton down there. There are more teams that have to overtake Leeds. But I still have this feeling that Everton are going to stay up. I still look at the home games. I still look at Palace at home, Brentford at home, Leicester at home, and even Manchester United at home. Manchester United, who Watford have taken 4 points off. Norwich ran them extremely close and with a better team. Burnley have taken points off. Newcastle have taken points off. The only team really who haven't taken points off them over 2 legs is Leeds United, which cripples me inside. But listen, overall, Manchester United are not in a good place at the minute. We don't like talking about them, guys, but they're relevant this weekend. They are very, very, very relevant. We don't want Everton picking up any points. And Everton in the home form table are about 12th or 13th. I think they were 12th before the Burnley game last night. So that's extra encouragement for the Everton fans that they can pick up some more points at home. I was speaking to a good friend who is an Everton fan, and he was saying, look, if we pick up the points at home, if we're able to get maybe 10 to 12 points, that's going to see us safe. And I do tend to agree. So the relegation picture isn't all done. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that's Frank done, that's Everton done. I think the only thing that we can hope for is they replicate what we sort of did in 2004, where Leeds were just in a rot, injuries, player attitudes, all of it encompassed. And I just think that 04 team was destined to go down. Everton are showing hallmarks of that 04 team, bad player recruitment as well. But I just think they might have enough. They might have enough. I do still think they were the better team last night, which I guess would be a minor scrape of encouragement for those Scousers. But listen, when you're looking at Burnley, it's a huge win. And Burnley's fixtures going into the final throw of the season, I think we'd all be delighted with them. I think if you had Everton, you had Leeds, you had Norwich, you had Watford with Burnley's fixtures ahead, we'd all be very, very excited. Burnley haven't won that many games this season, but this running is probably the most favourable running of the bottom 5, 6, maybe even 7 teams. So they have huge chances to pick up points, which starts this weekend against Norwich. Connor, why are you talking about other teams? I'm talking about other teams because this just shows how big this game is going to be for Leeds United. Leeds have to pick up the win this weekend. And I wasn't so sure on that before last night's events. I wasn't so sure that that needed to be the outcome. I think I am now. And why am I thinking that? Well, guys, it's because of the games that we've got coming up in that bracket, that period where Burnley have got some good games. Everton still have got some winnable games if you chuck Leicester at home in there, if you chuck Manchester United at home in there. So Leeds with this game coming up now, for me, we have to get 3 points. You're looking at that 4-game period there, really, where Leeds United have got Crystal Palace away. You've only lost 3 at home this season. We've seen what they've done to Tottenham at home. We've seen what they've done to Arsenal at home. They're a very different team at home again. You look at Manchester City, you look at Arsenal, you look at Chelsea. These are extremely tough games for any team, and they're a step up to Manchester United. We look at Everton's fixture, and maybe everyone's thinking it's Man United, but it's not. They're absolutely dross this season. Not long ago, we saw Watford going to Old Trafford and getting a draw. They should have won that game. They're absolutely turgid at the minute. So I've got no confidence in Man United going there and winning, and we do have that step up in terms of fixtures on the level that Manchester United are at, and on the level of team that Everton are playing up against this weekend. So what I'm trying to say is I think it's monumental that Leeds pick up 3 points this weekend because of our 3-4 game span after the Watford game, where I think some teams are going to pick up some serious points. I say serious points, but even sort of like 3, 4, 6 points over that period for the teams below us is going to be a massive, massive boost with it. In my opinion, it's going to be quite difficult for Leeds to, in that 4-game span after Watford, for Leeds to pick up that many points. I think after the Watford game, you're probably looking at Brighton at home, really, there, aren't you? Maybe a point at Crystal Palace, but that's going to be very, very difficult with the form that Palace are in. So the relegation picture is taking shape, but in a strange sort of way. There's going to be turns, it's going to really, really make us nervous. I think the Watford win this weekend, if Leeds are able to do that, if Leeds are able to conduct themselves in the right way on the pitch, that really gives us a helping hand, because I think 33 points, it's a very difficult turnaround. And it's a hammer blow psychologically to the teams below us. It also gets rid of Watford. That would take us to 11 points clear of Watford. That's huge. That really is huge. And I think Leeds take a massive step. Newcastle lose, we still could go above them. They would have a game in hand, obviously, but we would go above them. So we had this opportunity last week, and I think some of you guys were saying, Connor, you're a bit negative on the preview last week. So I kept talking about the trend bookers. Everton have been on a horrible run of form. They faced Leeds, they won. Newcastle have been in a horrible run of form. They faced Leeds, they won. Southampton at the start of the season were on a horrible run of form. They faced Leeds, they won. I was looking at last weekend, and I was just sure that Leeds, being the trend bookers that we are, Southampton, they've been in a bad run, lost 4 on the bounce, including a loss to Watford, including a loss to Newcastle. They came to Leeds, and once again, Leeds with the trend bookers, we stopped that rot for Southampton. So this is where I'm a little bit worried about this game. I'm not of that perception where, things are sort of up in the air and a bit. I like to base things on hard facts, really, but I genuinely believe that Watford losing 8 at home on the bounce, only winning 2 home games there this season, it doesn't sit right with me at all. I think we've got enough in the tank to win the game. I do. I think I am skeptical, but I think we've got enough in the tank to win the game. It just depends what Leeds turns up. It really does. I'm harking you back to the Southampton game, and there was opportunities for Leeds to kill the game off. Llorente header inside 4 minutes. Dan James speeding through and taking 54 extra touches when he puts Rafinha through on goal. It's 1-on-1 against Fraser Forster and he probably just slips it by him. These moments against Watford, Leeds have to be efficient in front of goal. We have to be effective in front of goal. If we're not, we will get picked off because I think Watford will create chances against this Leeds side. When Watford play wide, which they do, they're probably going to start with a 4-3-3. You're expecting Ismail Sarr to play out wide. You're expecting maybe Cuca Hernandez or Emmanuel Dennis to play out wide. That's what Roy Hodgson facilitated at Crystal Palace when he'd have Wilf Zaha and Andros Townsend out wide. That's his blueprint. That's what he'll see with this Watford side. They are able to hurt Leeds United out wide. Watford are not an incredible team. I think the defence is woeful. I think the midfield is bang average when you look at players like Cuca, when you look at players like Cleverley. I think Leeds were dominant in the game at Ellen Road in those areas. I think going forward, we're very good. We're causing them problems. The midfield, we won that midfield battle that day. But I still felt that when Watford came forward, they looked dangerous and they are a counter-attacking team. That's how Hodgson set them up in a 4-3-3 counter-attacking system. There are going to be points where they have Leeds stretched, and I look at maybe Ismail Sarr up against Dallas, and then I look at maybe Emmanuel Dennis up against Ayling or Cuca Hernandez up against Ayling. That worries me a little bit because what do those two have? Those three have pace, power, and athleticism. So all of those attributes in the Premier League are going to cause you problems. So I don't think it's going to be a clean sheet for Leeds United at all. But the effectiveness in front of goal has to be much better than it was against Southampton. It needs to be much better than it has been all season. The team news is Joe Gelhardt looks like he's going to be ready for the game. I genuinely would start him for this game. I know I've spoken before about how he sometimes comes back into that number 10 position and that can crowd Rodrigo out because he's always attracted to the ball, is Joe Gelhardt. But I think if Jesse Marsch is able to just say to him, play off the defender, let Rodrigo do his work in the 10, you play in that 9 and keep him up there. And Joe Gelhardt is able to get the ball at his feet or get the ball over the top like we saw a couple of times in the Southampton game and really cause them problems. That's going to be so beneficial for Leeds. But I think if he starts with Dan James up front, we're going to face a big problem. We're going to face a huge problem because it really is an easy day for centre-backs. We saw that with Salisu. We saw that with Bednarek when he played up front in the Southampton game. He was dreadful, Dan James in the Southampton game. But yeah, he's able to stretch them, but you're able to stretch, but you need to have more to your attacking game than just stretching the opposition and just outrunning them and putting endeavour, effort, and desire in and fight. That's great as attributes, but we need more end products. And I think Joffy is that end product. I think you start with Dan James up front, you're bringing Dan James off after 50 minutes, and you're thinking to yourself, well, that didn't work, and you're putting Joe Gelhardt on. So I think that's got to work. I think obviously the lack of investment, we're not going to go over it, but when you look at our starting two, our attacking two, it's Joe Gelhardt and Dan James at the minute, because Rodrigo's not going to go as the 9. He's always going to be in the 10 at the minute with his form. It's just woeful, isn't it, in terms of the depth that we have in that position. But that's where you've got Jack Harrison, you've got Rafinha. They need to step up. Rodrigo needs to step up. I'd love to see Matthias Klick getting a few goals from midfield. And it's a huge game for Leeds United, everybody. This is another, for me, it's a must-win. It might not be for you guys, but as I said at the start, that 4-game period after this Watford game is where teams are going to pick up points. Everton and Burnley, in my opinion, are going to be able to pick up points with their run. Everyone keeps talking about Leicester having a hard run. Sorry, Everton having a hard run. They do still have Brentford at home. They do still have Palace at home. They do still have Man United at home. They do still have games that are very, very winnable. In my personal opinion, they've got Watford away as well. I know their run is diabolical, and I'm not saying Leeds can't go to Watford away and win. I'm not saying that. I think we will win this weekend, but it's going to be very, very tough. Everybody, very, very tough. It's not going to be comfortable, and I think Watford will score. But it's all about the Leeds response. We need top performances from Rodrigo. We need top performances from every individual because Watford and they're no mugs. They're no mugs for me. You still look at. I look at their form over their away form's very good, but you look at their form over the past however many months, have been able to pick up wins at Brighton, pick up wins against Southampton, against Aston Villa. So they're no mugs. They went to Liverpool and were unlucky. They were unlucky. They for me, João Pedro or Cuca, they have to score those chances that they had. So they're probably having the lack of efficiency in front of goal like we do. But the difference with Watford is they have strikers. They have strikers that they bought in the summer. João Pedro is another one who can come off the bench. So they do have depth going forward. Ismail Sarr, Cuca Hernandez, Dennis, João Pedro, players of that ilk. So it's going to be really tough. It's going to test the Leeds United defence. I don't want to see two proactive defenders in Llorente and Cooper start. When I say proactive, I mean two defenders who are going to step up, two defenders who are very risky in terms of getting the ball and playing out. They're very, very similar. I want a level head next to Liam Cooper. I want Robin Koch to start. This would be an awful game for me for Diego Llorente. I hope I'm wrong. And I know he scored against Watford last time out. I understand that. But this is a different game. It's a different manager. It's a different setup. So that would worry me greatly. I think you've got to have a composed head in there. I think Watford have got some big lads as well. So on corners, you need to look at that physical aspect as well. I know Southampton had big lads and we defended the corners well. That's attributed a lot to some poor corners that were put in and didn't actually beat the man. So huge game for Leeds. But Robin Koch starts for me at centre back. I think you've got Ilan Meslier net. I would go with Dallas left back, which I'm worried about if he's coming up against one of those pace merchants. Centre backs Cooper and Koch. Right back Ayling, another one who needs to be really careful up against those pace merchants. Centre defensive midfield, I would go with Calvin Phillips and I would go with Matthias Klick. Although there is a temptation for me to say Forshaw, I do think those two are too similar. But when you've got two players at the base who are very defensively minded, that could benefit Leeds, but also it could work against Leeds in terms of no productivity, just sideways passing from that area, really. Further forward, I would obviously go with Rafinha. I would go with Jack Harrison. On the other side, I'd go with Rodrigo and Joe Gelhardt up top. Guys, that's going to be it from me. Make sure you download the BetMate app, available on App Store, available on Google Play. Download it, enter the code 1Leeds and pick your daily fantasy team. The winner, as a reminder, gets 100 quid. That's it. You get 100 quid, and we will be playing against each other every single week for a prize. So make sure you do that, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in a bit.